God is all, and all is God. Good morning.
Good morning.
Beautiful morning, huh? Please rise as you're able and remain standing for the opening hymn, Morning Has Broken, the prayer of invocation, and the Lord's Prayer. Please join me in an attitude of prayer. Dear Father, Mother, God, we thank you for your continued presence in our lives. We know you exist in our hearts and our minds always, and we thank you for the opportunity to realize your presence. We thank you for all the learning experiences and blessings you provide us with. We ask that we learn to accept our whole being, as we were created perfectly for the lives we are living now. We ask that you minister to all those who need your help on earth and elsewhere. We ask that you allow us to serve you here on earth by ministering to the needs of people. We ask all of these things in your name because you are all things. We affirm this prayer by praying the prayer that Jesus taught his followers. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from error. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Please be seated. Now's the time when we reaffirm our Declaration of Principles, and they will appear on the screen. We believe in God as infinite intelligence. We believe that the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are the expression of infinite intelligence. We affirm that a correct understanding of such relation and living in accordance therewith constitute true religion. We believe in personal responsibility and that we create our own happiness or unhappiness as we live in harmony or discord with natural and physical and spiritual laws. We affirm that the existence and the personal identity of the individual continues after leaving the physical world. We affirm that communication with spirit is a natural experience and is demonstrated through mediumship. We affirm that examples of prophecy and healing found in the Bible and other sacred texts are divine attributes found in all people. We believe that the highest morality is contained in the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We affirm that the doorway to reformation is always open to any soul here or hereafter. No surprise, the lecture today is the gifts of darkness. You know, darkness was created by infinite intelligence, the same way everything else was created. And like everything else, it has a place and a purpose in our lives. We tend to like to not talk about darkness. We tend to avoid it. We tend to ask to get through the night. For lots of people, nights are lonely. They're dark. December is probably the darkest month of the year, but we call it the season of light. Because that's when Christmas occurs. I'm not so sure that it's Christmas. I think it's more a protection against the darkness, as long as we just concentrate on Christmas and the season of light, we don't realize it's so dark. So it doesn't make much sense to call the darkest month the season of light until we look into really how we view light versus darkness. We really don't care for it. We want to be part of things that are good or light. We always use positive affirmation when we're trying to change something or situation, because we prefer to deny the existence of anything that is dark, therefore evil, including our own thoughts. If we have evil or negative thoughts, what do? We justify them. Well, it's not an opinion, it's the truth. Because we can't think or say things that are evil or dark. So we justify it. And that type of reasoning really gives us easy answers, because it makes everything black and white. And everything is not black and white. It also polarizes beliefs. If we think everything is either black or white, we become very polarized in our thinking. It completely escapes our consciousness that no one or nothing is either all good or all bad, but degrees of both at different times. We've all studied natural law and Hermetic law. We should know this. Somehow we don't apply it to darkness. Natural law teaches us everything is on a scale with opposites at either end. So if we have bright light at one end that's blinding, we have total darkness at the other end, or absence of life. We discover with this principle, as with most, that the midpoint is the best position to be in, where you have enough light to see, but not enough to blind us, and enough dark that we can feel comfortable and relaxed. That's why the Buddhists are always looking for the middle path. They view it as the perfect way to live, keeping everything in balance. If the middle is perfect balance, why are we forced to live with the irony of opposites, like nothingness and fullness, or dark and light? It's very simple. We need both because it's impossible to know one without knowing the other. How could you know light if you hadn't known darkness? If we work to transcend those opposites and stay in the middle, we are offered the possibility of wholeness, where we can be aware and experience everything. Considering that we should have pleasant memories of flow, safe and comfortable in our mother's womb for 9 months, we should be craving darkness. Think about it. When we were being formed, we were unaware of the world outside, unaware of light. It was a time of mystical darkness when we received our talents while our body was being made. The talents that would enable us to live in the physical world, and the body that would enable us to live in the physical world. Our first memory for most of us would have been the harsh glare of the lights in the delivery room. Logically, we should not prefer lights after that experience. But because we have a tendency to focus just on good and light, and it somehow applies if we do not teach outright that if we only think good things and do good deeds, that nothing bad will ever happen to us. How many times have people told you this? If all your thoughts are good, nothing bad is going to come. If all your actions are good, nothing bad is going to come. Well, the problem with that is every once in a while a negative thought will creep into the best of us. Can't help it. Doesn't matter how vigilant we are, that little wee negative thing goes in there. And because we have that one little negative thought, we think that illnesses, accidents, or other events are only caused by our thoughts. And that one thought caused them. Well, that is true on a lot of occasions. We know that what we think is what we are, and what our life becomes. But there are also times when karma is at work from other lifetimes, and we know nothing about why we are experiencing this horrible thing. We have done nothing in this lifetime to warrant it. There are times when we desperately need to learn a lesson, and this suffering that we're going through is the only way that we're going to learn it. And unfortunately, the stronger our will is, the worse the lesson has to be. Much of us are pretty strong-minded people, or hard-headed, as some people would say, and we're not going to take a hint. We have to have a really bad experience to stop us and make us think what's going on. So telling somebody who's in pain and suffering that if they're only going to think about positive things, and if they deny negative thoughts, that they should be able to cure themselves, is not helpful. Lots of good people who are positive and have good thoughts die of cancer and other things, and it's not their fault, at least not in this lifetime. Some people sign up to come here and die of cancer to teach other people lessons or other diseases. So it's toxic to suggest to anyone that they are responsible for their own condition or lack of resolve to heal it. That attitude only causes mental and emotional damage to people who are already sick. It's fine to wish love and light to everybody, but let us not forget that there are times when it is necessary for the opposite to exist. And we often do not have the discretion necessary to understand what the cause of this affliction is for that person. Sometimes, no, really all the time, we as individuals or groups want to deny our capacity to do harm or to hurt anybody. Hitler lived, and under his rule, thousands of people were killed, tortured, beaten, starved to death, and subject to the worst treatment in modern history. He didn't do it by himself. There are lots of people who agreed with him. Lots of people who thought that he was right. But if somebody says, well, you could have been one of Hitler's followers, you could have done this. Oh, no, not me. I'd never do that. I don't want to hurt anybody. I could never hurt anybody. Well, and most of us feel that way, and under normal circumstances, that's true. We wouldn't. But when I was in my early 70s and studying psychology, there was a very famous study done in a college, in California, of course. It's where everything happens. They took a fair number of students and divided them between guards and prisoners, put them in an underground place where they were isolated, put the prisoners in cells and the guards over them. They found the longer that the study went on, the nastier the guards got. They became hateful and cruel, especially when they were rewarded for that kind of behavior. The same people who 3 months ago would have said, I could never do that to somebody. I could never act that way, were now being that way. That's how it happens. We let those thoughts into our mind, especially when we are rewarded for having them. So the lesson of Hitler is, if we are rewarded for hatred and drama by our society, we will become hateful troublemakers. What do you think our public media rewards today? Facebook? Twitter? I hate Twitter so much I can't even say it. But all these different things that we read, what do they contain? Personal things. And the more drama that's in somebody's life, the more victimized they are, the more followers they get. Is that good behavior? To be proud of being a victim? And on the other hand, we have people who do nasty things and put them on Facebook and also get a lot of followers because other people agree, oh, it's okay to call this person that horrible name or to put this thing that is very degrading to them on the internet because they're a bad person, you know, in my opinion. And then everybody else who has the same opinion joins with them. They get rewarded by the idea that they belong to a group of like-minded people. And it's not only Facebook. This extends to rumors repeated as fact about movie stars or people in government that none of us personally know that are fashioned to elicit hate and disgust. Things that will make us really dislike them and continue to exist long after the facts have been proven to be false. The general opinion of most people is, if it's somebody they like, they'll agree with it. If it's somebody that they don't like, they'll disagree with it, or vice versa. You're not going to change your opinion by seeing something. It just affirms your position. All this is not good. Hating people because of rumors, because of falsehoods, probably with a little bit of truth in, the best lies have a little bit of truth in, is what happened to people to turn them into people who hated Jews. The Jews who were responsible for all of their problems. And it was nothing but lies dressed up as truth. And it turned people against them into hate. It created the concentration camps and the horrors that followed. The people in Germany were average people, just like us, until the influence of Hitler's beliefs came along. So never think that you're not capable. Remember to have compassion for people who are so misled and so into hating instead of love and compassion. They deserve our love and compassion more than anybody else because they don't have any. So if we had a terrible thought or did one terrible thing, are we dark and evil? Of course not. Of course not. We all, I mean, how many times do you get mad at everybody and you think, wish they'd walk out in front of a car? Do you really want that to happen? No. You know, no. Or they do something to you and you wish that that would happen to them. Is that going to make it happen? Not necessarily. We find that if our intent is to do harm, or if our intent is to hurt somebody, most of the time it doesn't work. Positive affirmations, positive prayers, positive requests, on the other hand, do work. The universe is not really interested in getting revenge for us. It's not ours to have. So you have to remember there's a sliding scale with many degrees on it between evil and good. You know, you do one bad thing, maybe you're here. You're not necessarily all the way here. You're not a psycho yet. Yeah. I think the majority of us, and we're all reincarnated souls and bodies, and we all manifest. I think we manifest in various shades of gray, rather than black and white. And that's what we should. We are in duality. We are living in a place, in a body, a soul, in a body. Physical, spiritual, both. We have to deal with both. It's not easy. It's really not easy. And there are a lot of people who make soul contracts and come to Earth and do exactly the opposite of what they said they were going to do, which a lot of people believe Hitler did. We don't know. Our mind is not as huge and great as infinite intelligence. We only know a portion of what the truth is, because that's all we can see. But at the beginning of the new year, when we're making our New Year's resolutions, let's think about that. The fact that every year we must think that we have to improve somehow implies we're not good enough, right? We don't like us the way we are. I don't want anybody here to make a resolution that they will only think and speak and live in positive energy is an improvement, because that is literally impossible. We are incarnated on this planet in a physical body to learn things. If we are perfect, if we never make a mistake, what are we going to learn? Nothing. But instead of making resolutions about things that we're going to change, why don't we learn to accept ourselves the way that we are, including our strengths and weaknesses, our accomplishments and our mistakes? It's a total package. Let us accept the body that we have. Let us think about what our triggers and stressors are. Let us be aware of